Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so I have Paul Barnhurst on the line. He's Director of FP&A over at Solera, Inc. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me on the show. Honored to be here.
Oh, man. Well, I'm excited to have you on the line. And I want to kick it off just by maybe going into what you're doing over at Solera. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. So Solera is a B2B automotive software company. They operate in 80 countries. They do over $1 billion in operations. They started in the claims space. So like State Farm and Allstate doing claims estimating for your cars. And then they expanded in from there to many different businesses in automotive. And I manage today our dealer business, which consists of 4 different units. We do service, marketing, titling for cars. And then one that's particularly important today is pickup and delivery. So you've probably seen all the ads with COVID going on the radio or got one in the mail, where they say, hey, you don't even need to come into the dealership. We'll come pick up your car, right, and take it back for you. So you can feel safe, stay in your house. We manage all that. We have a company that arranges all that for the car dealerships to make sure keeping people safe.
So I know that you're a thought leader in this space. So in terms of, I know you've done some writing in it. I know you've built a lot of things. So whether it's financial planning, analysis, tell us a little bit more about your projects and kind of some of the things you've been working on.
Sure. Yeah. So over the last couple of years, kind of funny how I got into it. I never pictured myself as a writer or a thought leader. And a few years ago, I was looking for a job and connected with somebody who had a website writing articles about FP&A and asked for some of his time. And I said, hey, I'll send you a Starbucks gift card because he was remote, trying to say, I'll give you something in return. And his comment was, no, I want you to write an article for my website. And that opened me up to kind of a new opportunity I'd never considered. And the first article I wrote was about business intelligence. And since then, I've written, a number of different articles of what I consider to be the most important things in financial planning and analysis, which are really beyond, the standard that everybody has to have. You got to know finance, you got to know accounting, you got to be able to work with data. Is finance partnering, really being a business partner instead of being the guy that just says, no, it's too expensive, which we've all, in any company you work with.
Just not the no guy? Just not the no guy?
Like, don't go to finance. They're going to be the no guy. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard stuff like that about, you're different. The prior guy was just the no guy. Well, I'm here to make sure we're doing the right things to drive the business forward. So it's that being a real partner. Strategy. Strategy is about closing doors and being different. And that will show up in your bottom line, in your P&L, right? And so I've always tried to be, as we're planning things, is making sure as the projects we're working on, are they accretive to the business? Do they align with our strategy? Are they driving real results, or are they going to hurt us? And there's tons of examples out there of companies that have got away from their strategy. And I think one of the prime examples is low-cost airlines. All the full-service airlines decided we want to be the next low-cost airline. And they failed. British Airways, TED, because they were set up differently. They weren't designed like Southwest, so they couldn't compete with them economically. They didn't have the right price structure. And that's kind of what I view for finance as being able to say at the end of the day, the choices we've made early on don't position us for this strategy. We're not well positioned and we're not going to get the returns we want. Being able to make sure that the business leaders realize that. And then kind of the final thing is just data analysis and being able to provide real insight, business intelligence, right? A hot button issue these days.
Mm-hmm. So, Paul, that being said, and I don't want to oversimplify it, and, this is only a 15-minute segment, so we're not going to have time to go through all of it, obviously. But that being said, I know that nobody starts out, and nobody wants to, nobody's planning on making the wrong decisions. They don't want to. Where do you find, and I know this is going to vary, obviously, from company to company, size of company, a lot of different things, but I know common themes do arise over time. Where do you find companies, or kind of sometimes people have that disconnect between strategy and their spend, like how they're allocating their resources? Like, why do you find that happens sometimes?
I think a lot of times it comes down to probably 2 or 3 key things. First is they want to grow their revenue, and so they go outside of their wheelhouse, and they decide they can do something that really doesn't align with their strategy, nor does it make sense, necessarily financially. And they're like, well, but we got to grow revenue. We got to keep the investors happy, right? I mean, we're littered with examples of that. American Express a couple years ago launched a Serve card and a prepaid card aimed at the underbanked and unserved. Low margin, you have to be extremely low cost, and it didn't fit with American Express. They're a high-end
Yeah, when I think American
credit
Express,
card.
I don't think about that. I think black card. I don't think.
Yeah, well, exactly. I was going to ask if you had one of those.
No, not yet. Not yet. So keep talking. If I do enough of these episodes, we'll never know.
Yeah, no, that's where I started my career after grad school. I worked for American Express for 8 years, so very familiar with the black card, but don't have one, but familiar with it. So I think that's the first area. The second is financial modeling. They don't have a good model to really understand what the results are going to be, right? A lot of entrepreneurs start out and they go off gut. They go off fill. And if you're not careful, especially from a cash flow, an operation standpoint, that gets you in trouble.
No, I can see it completely. So basically, they're spreading themselves thin, and then they're going outside of their expertise that got them to where they're at in the first place.
Yeah, I would say, most of the time I think it boils down to one of those things.
So, Paul, that being said, first off, I can talk to you about this stuff all day long because you're just that guy. I like it. I can tell that you really enjoy what you do. I can tell you live and breathe this stuff. That being said, final question, 2-part question. Number 1, if somebody wants to learn more about Solera, what's the best way for them to do it? Number 2, if somebody wants to learn more about your writing or to follow you and to follow your work, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, if someone wants to learn about Solera, they can go to the website solera.com and learn about kind of the global company. And then, if someone wants to get in contact with me, the best way is probably LinkedIn. Follow me on there. You're also welcome to email me. It's pbarnhurst@yahoo.com. I'm always happy to, respond to one, provide any advice or anything for people. So those are the 2 best ways to reach me.
Fantastic. Well, Paul, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at Solera. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of things and projects you're working on. And Paul, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam.